So, today we're going to dive into a really pivotal moment for Nathaniel Bowditch. He was this self-taught genius, right? And his revolutionary ideas about navigation, well, they ran smack into a huge wall of doubt and superstition.
You know, this quote from Bowditch's good friend Dr. Holyoke, it just perfectly nails the heart of this story. It's a fight we still see all the time, isn't it? That tough, often frustrating battle between new science and those old, stubborn ways of thinking.
Okay, so let's get into the first big hurdle Bowditch had to clear, trying to convince a bunch of skeptical, old-school sailors to trust what they called his book sailing.
I mean, you've got these two totally different worlds clashing. On one hand, you have Bowditch with his scientific mind, all about data, math, and his book to get things exactly right. And then, on the other hand, you have the way things have been done for centuries, built on old wives' tales, gut feelings, and a whole lot of superstition. For these sailors, trusting a book over what they could see and feel, that was just crazy talk.
And this wasn't just about sailing, you know? Dr. Holyoke makes this incredible comparison. He saw the exact same kind of fear in the sailors that he saw in people who were terrified of the first smallpox shots. It was this deep resistance to new, life-saving science that just felt weird and dangerous, even when the old way was, well, a lot deadlier.
So despite everybody at home in Salem thinking he was nuts, Bowditch's work was about to face the ultimate test on the world stage, all the way across the Atlantic in England. His wife, Polly, who was always in his corner, saw this one little sliver of hope. I mean, it makes sense, right? If the biggest maritime power in the world, the British Empire, says your work is good, surely the folks back home would have to listen. But Nat himself? Oh, he was having none of it. He was a total pessimist about it. He knew how much national pride was on the line. The idea that the British would toss their own navigation books for one written by some guy from the colonies, to him, that was just impossible, not a chance.
And yet, this number changes the entire story. 6,000. That's how many copies of his book were immediately rushed into print in London. It was this staggering, unbelievable success that nobody saw coming.
And the news reports just confirmed it. His book wasn't just accepted, it was a sensation because it was just plain better. Turns out, the official British book, Moore's Navigator, was riddled with errors that were described as fatal to mariners. Bowditch's math was literally saving lives, and when you're out at sea, that's the only currency that matters.
So, with this incredible win overseas, Bowditch finally got his own ship to command. But the most amazing moment of recognition for him was about to come from a place he never, ever thought he belonged. Get this, he's on a trip to Boston, and his boat gets stuck, no wind. So with nothing else to do, he decides to go watch the graduation ceremony at Harvard. For him, this must have been kind of bittersweet, right? A reminder of the formal education he was forced to give up as a kid.
I mean, just look at this journey. At age 12, his future is basically sealed, stuck in an indenture, but he teaches himself everything. He learned Latin just so he could read Isaac Newton's original work. And then on that random day in 1802, he's sitting in the audience with absolutely no idea that the university is about to honor him.
He only finds out after the ceremony is over, when an old friend sees him and congratulates him. Can you even imagine that moment? The highest academic honor in America given to a guy who did it all by himself, and he didn't even know it was happening. Just this delayed, incredible, and deeply deserved moment of joy.
So now, he's Captain Bowditch, Master of Arts, and he's getting ready for his first voyage as captain, a trip to Sumatra. But just when his world of logic and reason seems to have won, a visitor shows up bringing news of a very different kind of danger, one you can't solve with math.
A man named Lem Harvey, a tough, experienced sailor everyone thought was dead, just appears at his door like a ghost. He was supposed to have been lost in a shipwreck, but he's back, and he has a pretty wild story to tell.
As Lem tells his story, it's the stuff he tries to brush past that's the most terrifying. He kind of glosses over these silent attackers, his crewmates literally losing their minds in the fog, and these locals who run amok in a killing rage. The real horror wasn't in what he said, it was in all the gruesome details he was trying to hide from Polly. And then, after all that, after painting this picture of Sumatra as basically hell on earth, a place he swore he'd never go back to, the second he finds out Captain Bowditch is in charge of the ship, he signs up to go. Just like that. That's how much he trusted Nat.
You gotta remember, Bowditch's responsibilities were now huge. Being a captain back then wasn't just about steering the ship. You were the doctor, the lawyer, the businessman, the chief. You were in charge of every single part of your crew's lives, including being their doctor, which was something he took very seriously.
But then, disaster strikes. In what feels like a final, cruel twist of fate, just a week before they're supposed to leave, Lem Harvey, the one guy Bowditch was counting on for his skill with a gun, his main line of defense against the dangers of Sumatra, has a terrible accident and breaks his leg.
And this leaves us here, with this massive question. Nathaniel Bowditch's genius with numbers had conquered the ocean, it had beaten superstition, and it had earned him respect all over the world. But now, he's sailing straight into a danger that can't be solved with a book or a calculation. His expert gunman is out of commission. Can science alone save him now?